Hi guys, Kaiser here, and welcome back to Age of Empires 2. The October public update preview has just come out, featuring all of the changes that are coming on October 31st, featuring the brand new expansion pack, the Mountain Royals. That expansion, of course, is bringing two new civilizations into the game, the Georgians and the Armenians, and AoE2 will also be ushering in a completely reworked Persia, and a host of other changes to some of your favorite civilizations. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the public update preview and explore all of it. We're going to highlight the two new civilizations, what are their bonuses and features, the new Persians, as well as some of the other big changes coming into the game. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to look at the Armenians first. They are an infantry and naval civilization. And something you'll notice is that the Armenians and the Georgians have several very unique buildings, and one of them is highlighted right here in the very first and second bonus. Mule carts cost 25% less, and mule cart technologies are 25% more effective. Now, what on earth is a mule cart, right? Well, if we scroll over all the way to the end of the tech tree, you will notice that the Armenians, and the Georgians as well, are not able to build mining camps or lumber camps. Instead, they can build the mule cart. It costs 100 wood as well as 20 food, but this is a mobile version, kind of a one-size-fits-all version of the mining camp and the lumber camp and kind of a mill at the same time, because your lumberjacks, your miners, and your hunters, meat from boar and deer, are all able to be dropped off at the mule cart. So this is a really exciting building. It functions by gathering a lot of resources. You can click it and move it around like a unit. You can use it early on to explore parts of the map. And I see a lot of potential strategies with the mule cart. I can imagine whether it's something as small as being able to reposition your quote-unquote lumber camp, right? So that you can gather wood more efficiently without having to destroy and rebuild lumber camps. Or maybe you can even use this more aggressively, being able to move the cart forward and being able to collect your opponent's resources more efficiently and effectively. I think this could be a really exciting unit to explore for the Armenians and the Georgians. Now you'll notice, for the Armenians, mule carts cost less, so in their case it's only 15 food and 80 wood. And then, mule cart techs are 25% more effective. So to give you just one example, where double bit axe normally lets villagers chop wood 20% faster, for the Armenians it's going to be 25% faster. So I think this is an interesting economic bonus. It kind of makes me think of the Burgundians and that economic technology focus that the Burgundians have. The Armenians kind of have their own spin on that with these mining and lumberjack techs. I think the lumberjack techs, like double bit axe, are going to be particularly impacted by this bonus. So it's going to be a really nice little addition to their economy. Although these are the only early game economy bonuses that they have. They also have a cool economic bonus for the mid game. The first fortified church receives a free relic. Now wait a minute, what's a fortified church? Well, again, the Georgians and the Armenians, they don't get a monastery. Instead, they get the fortified church, which is a super monastery. It has more armor and I think more HP than a regular monastery. You can actually garrison villagers and monks inside of the fortified church. And if the church is garrisoned by villagers or relics, it may fire anyway. But certainly when they're garrisoned by villagers and relics, the fortified church can actually fire arrows. Right? So it has this really cool defensive function on top of the usual monastery elements, right? And both the Armenians and the Georgians have their own little extra spin on the fortified church. In the case of the Armenians, the very first church that you build immediately gets a free relic garrisoned inside, which is a really nice little mid-game bonus. I also think it's a nice nod to history. The Armenians were the first kingdom to officially adopt Christianity as their official religion. And so I think it's a nice little wink and a nod to that. The idea that, you want to hit the castle age and immediately throw down a fortified church as quickly as possible. It's a nice little integration of history and gameplay, which I think is kind of cool. We'll talk about their unique unit, the Warrior Priest, that's also built here at the Fortified Church in a second. Barracks units, except for the Men-at-Arms, are available 1 age earlier. So if we scroll all the way back to the beginning here, that means that you get Spearmen in the Dark Age. You can pick up Pikemen in the Feudal Age, and Longswordsmen in the Feudal Age. And then in the Castle Age, you can go Two-Handed Swordsmen or even Champions in the Castle Age, as well as Halberdier in the Castle Age. Now that is an insane bonus. That means, I think there's a lot of opportunity here. Over the last year, AoE2 has been working very hard to buff up the militia line, to make infantry a more appetizing option for a lot of civilizations. And in my personal opinion, throughout most of the ladder, the infantry line is underutilized. There's a lot of opportunity to go infantry and to really either end the game or put a lot of pressure on your opponent featuring your typical swordsman line. And the Armenians, I think, may be one of the strongest civilizations to take advantage of that opportunity. If you're able to go, I mean, even just going longswordsman in the Feudal Age, let alone picking up Two-Handed Swordsman or Champion in the Castle Age, if you can do that and catch your opponent by surprise with an infantry push, that's going to be a really, really exciting bonus. And I think is that maybe their main military bonus that I'm seeing here with the Armenians is the flexibility that they get from their barracks. Even without that, just if you're going up against a Frank player and being able to pick up Halberdier in the Castle Age, that can stop a night push in its tracks, right? So that's very exciting. I'm really excited to see what sort of strategies will come out of this bonus in particular. Finally, we've got galley lines firing 2 projectiles. And if we see between this as well as their Castle Age unique tech, Cilician Fleet, demo ships gain an additional 33% blast radius. Galley lines and dromons get +1 range. The Armenians will have an extremely strong water game. You've got galley lines with firing extra projectiles and extra range. Dromons also get extra range. Demo ships blow up further, right? They have a very strong navy. And if we actually, I'll jump over there right now. If we take a look at the navy, they have a really good dock. You're missing the fast fire ship, but you've got everything else, right? Let's see. Yeah, you got all the blacksmith techs you would need there. So the navy looks very, very strong. Now, to be clear, the 2 projectiles does not mean double damage. The second projectile, I think, does maybe like a single point of damage. It's not a lot, but it's still more than nothing, right? Mejor que nada. So, I think they've got a very strong navy. The Armenians will be a very powerful civ on the water. Their unique units are the Composite Bowman and the Warrior Priest. Now let's scroll over to the Warrior Priest real quick. This is a guy that can be trained out of the monastery. And if you happen to catch my previous video, the analysis was pretty much right on the money. The Warrior Priest is able to fight like a militiaman, like a militia unit, but it can also heal other units and even pick up relics and garrison them in your fortified churches. So you can use Warrior Priests, grab the relics, put them in the church, and then the church becomes a more powerful defensive structure for your civilization. Warrior Priest, I think, is really cool. Now, because the Armenians have such a strong barracks, I don't know that you would necessarily want to mass an army of nothing but Warrior Priest. I mean, let's take a look. He's got 80 HP, 11 attack, 1 melee, 1 pierce armor. Versus, if we compare Two-Handed Swordsman, okay, not quite as much HP, but 12 attack instead. If we go to the Long Swordsman, that's 9. So, if you have Long Swordsman, I don't know. I would still think you'd probably want to mass up with the barracks, but this would make for an amazing and a strong support unit. I would want to mix in Warrior Priests with whatever army I'm going for, and they're able to heal up your army and fight off attackers, obviously much more effectively than a monk can. Now, a monk is still able to convert units in a way that a Warrior Priest cannot, and Warrior Priests are weak to scout infantry, light cavalry. I'm sorry, is it scout infantry? Scout cav and light cavalry, just like the monks are. So you want to be aware of that when you're using the Warrior Priest. But I think this will be a very exciting, unique unit. And alongside that, at your castle, you have access to the Composite Bowman. This is an Armenian unique archer with an attack that is not very strong. You see here that the Composite Bowman only has 4 attack And even the elite composite bowman only has 4 attack. You get a little extra melee armor and a little bit of HP with the elite upgrade, but doesn't do anything for your attack or your range. So they have short range, short attack. Why would you build this unit? Well, it's because of their unique feature. Their attacks ignore pierce armor. So if you compare this guy to, let's say, the crossbowman, right? The crossbowman has more damage built in, 5 attack. The arbalest has 6 attack, right? And they're able to shoot further. But the composite bowman ignores pierce armor. So if you were going up against a goth player, and the goth player is going all in infantry, right? Huskarl and swordsman, right? You just mass up the composite bowman, and not only does the composite bowman blow away the regular infantry unit, as you'd expect an archer to, but absolutely shreds the Huskarl, because all of that pierce armor means nothing to a composite bowman. This is going to be a very interesting unit. It's one that I've seen a lot of people, even some pros, disagree on how powerful this unit could be. Some are saying this guy's going to be really strong. Others are saying, nah, I think he's underpowered. I have no idea. We'll see. But I think it's a very exciting, unique unit. It's the archer version of the Lightus. And I'm really curious to see how that plays out. This should be a fun, unique unit, and a nice addition to what looks to be a really fun civilization. Your Imperial Age unique tech is Ferreters, all infantry except for the Spearman line. So that means the Warrior Priest as well. Gain 30 HP, and Warrior Priests heal 100% faster. Very cool stuff. And finally, your team bonus, Infantry gain +2 line of sight. So I see this as a really strong infantry civilization. With this line of sight bonus, that will make them very good at drushes, men-at-arms rushes. And then, of course, moving into the mid-game and the late game, you have some strong infantry options. You have decent archer options. You get Arbalest. You are missing Thumbring and Thumbring. Parthian Tactics means you wouldn't want to go Cav Archer anyway. You're missing that. You're missing Heavy Cav Archer. But you can go Arbalest. You do have decent Blacksmith Tech upgrades for your archery range. So that's an option for you. It's definitely a good support unit for infantry. You go with a mixed gold comp. You get access to the Cavalier, but not Paladin, Husbandry, and Bloodlines. You do get both of those, but you are missing Plate Barding Armor. So decent throughout the Castle Age, but once you hit Imp, you don't have the strongest stable in the game. Siege looks okay. I mean, you've got Capped Ram, but not Siege Ram. Onager, but not Siege Onager. You do have Heavy Scorpion, so maybe you go with that instead of Archers if you want. If we go to the University, though, you're missing Siege Engineers, so yeah, not very strong on the Siege front. Docks look amazing, Barracks look amazing. This looks like a really fun civilization. I can't wait to try these guys out. Speaking of which, we've got to look at the other unique civilization being added to the Mountain Royals, the Georgians. We see right here, they also get the Mule Cart. Their first bonus, you start the game with a Mule Cart, which you can use however you want. Do you want to bring that over to a wood line and use it as a lumber camp? You can do that. Or maybe you want to drag it over to deer and be able to more efficiently collect resources from deer or boar. You can do that as well. So you start the game with a Mule Cart, but you also start with 50 less food. That means that your early economy might be a little bit wonky. You want to prioritize food even more with the Georgians than normal. Just help get your your economy stabilized and flowing well because of that bonus. But I think there's some real opportunities there with the Mule Cart. The fortified churches provide villagers in a 10-tile radius with 10% work rate. That's a 10-tile radius. So if you imagine 3 farms, side by side, that's 9 tiles. And that's not diameter, but radius. That means 3 farms on one side, 3 farms on the other side. That gives you a sense of the circle around which the fortified church provides this additional 10% work rate bonus. Now that's double the work rate bonus of the Roman civilization. But of course, this doesn't kick in until the Castle Age, until you build fortified churches. But once you hit the Castle Age, you're probably going to want to throw down these fortified churches all over your base in order to take advantage of this bonus. Units and buildings receive 15% less damage when fighting from higher elevation. Makes a lot of sense, of course. The Georgians are famous for their mountain warfare and their elevated fighting. And they are a defensive-oriented civilization, so this bonus makes a lot of sense. It means that, kind of like with the Tatar, you want to pay particular attention to the ability to fight on mountains when you're playing as the Georgians, so you take even less damage as you're dishing it out on your opponents with the low ground. And finally, cavalry regenerate HP throughout the ages. 5 HP in the Feudal Age, 10 in the Castle Age, and 15 in the Imperial Age. No text required. That is a bonus that comes right out of the gate, giving their cavalry a certain resiliency that I think is exciting. Again, it sort of gives a defensive element to their scout play or their knight play. It doesn't make them hit harder. It doesn't mean that your rushes are going to be any stronger. But it means that as long as you're keeping your units alive, the Georgians can just eke out more potential from their units than anybody else. As long as you can keep them alive and they can heal themselves up, it's a really cool way of playing cavalry. And again, I'm looking forward to trying these guys out. Their unique unit is the Monaspa. We scroll over. The Monaspa is a Georgian unique cavalry unit that becomes stronger when other Monaspas or Knight Line units are nearby. So the way that I have heard this described is that when you get 6 either Monaspa or Knights together, let's say you have a Monaspa and 5 Knights, that's 6 cavalry units, Knight units, the Monaspa gains an additional attack. And then if you were to get 11 Monaspa and Knights of whatever mixed together, then the Monaspa units gain an additional attack. And then it's, I think it's 16 after that. 16 units, you gain another attack. And then 21, another attack. Right, so you can stack up a lot of additional attack onto the Monaspa in order to really make it kind of a glass cannon. If you look at the statistics, it does not compare as favorably to the Knight. If you take a look here, 75 HP, 12 attack, 3 melee armor, 2 pierce armor. Let's look at the Knight in comparison. 100 HP, 10 attack, 2 melee, 2 pierce armor. So you can see that the Knight is, beefier, has more HP to it. And if I'm not mistaken, the Cavalier just takes it even further compared to the Elite Monaspa. So you have more HP, but not as much attack on the Knight unit. Right, so what you probably want to do, especially because you've already thrown down several stables, I'm guessing, is you want to mix in Knights and Monaspa together. You get a good chunk of Knights to kind of be the tanky part of your cavalry army, and then you mix them in with Monaspa, which aren't as resilient, but can do even more damage, significantly more damage than your Knights can. And I really like the way these two units actually, instead of competing for the player's attention, you can mix them together in a very effective way. So I think the Monaspa is a really cool, unique unit. Look forward to seeing how they play out on the field of battle. Their unique techs. Swan Towers give defensive buildings, which would include the not just the castle and the towers, but also the reinforced churches, an additional +2 attack. And towers, specifically, the watchtower, guard tower, keep. Towers fire arrows that pierce multiple units. So it's like a scorpion built into your towers, right? Making them extremely strong defensive structures and encouraging defensive play from the Georgian player. You couple that with Aznauri, I'm not pronouncing that right, Aznauri cavalry. Cav units take 15% less population space. So in the late game, whether you're talking about, Hussar or you're talking about Cavalier, you're able to mass up much more, many more cavalry units than your opponent is able to. So let's say you have 100 villagers, and then that's 100 space left for your army. For anybody else, that means 100 cav, but for you, it could be 115 cavalry, if my math is correct there. And then finally, your team bonus. Buildings cost 50% fewer resources to repair. So it does not require as many resources in order to repair your castles, your keeps, your town centers, compared to any other civilization in the game. So that could be really fun, especially in a castle versus castle, trebuchet versus trebuchet battle. You're not going to run out of resources as quickly as your opponent will. That's a really nice bonus. Taking a look at their tech tree real quick before we move on to the other stuff. The archery range, you don't get arbalest, you're missing thumb ring, you're missing ring archer armor, but you do get bracer. So, again, kind of once you hit the Imperial Age, I don't know that you want to stay on crossbowmen, but I guess it's an option in the Castle Age. You do, of course, get a decent barracks. You've got champion, you've got all of the barracks techs. You do have full blacksmith, so infantry look like a good option to tech into, and you have halberdiers, so that looks great. Your stable line. You get bloodlines, you get husbandry. You only get cavalier, you do not get paladin, but because of all of the other bonuses that you stack up, it makes sense. I think your cavalier have more bang for the buck than your typical cavalier does. You also get hussar. So in late game trash wars, you can not only get strong light cav, but then again, you get to mass more because they take less population space. At the siege workshop, you get siege ram, you get siege onager, and you do get siege engineers in the university, so you have very good siege options. Blacksmith looks great. You're only missing ring archer armor, so I guess that hurts your skirmishers, but really good job there. Dock looks decent. Yeah, this is a good civilization. Again, I can't wait to try these guys out. So those are 2 new civilizations. Next, we've got to look at maybe one of the most exciting changes coming to AoE2, and you don't need the Mountain Royals expansion pack in order to experience the brand new Persians, like you do the Georgians and the Armenians. But a lot of people are excited to see what happens with the Persians. Let's take a look. And I gotta say, when I looked at these changes, what fascinated me most is how similar in a lot of ways this civilization looks to what we already have. They did not erase and completely destroy and rebuild the Persians. This is the old civilization, just beefed up. I mean, put on steroids, given a lot of new bonuses that will really take them to the next level and make them a very strong civilization, but a very familiar civilization. Let's dive in. You still get to start the game with 50 food and 50 wood. Town centers and docks have double hit points, and their work rate improves throughout the ages. You will notice that their Dark Age work rate is back. So they had taken this out at one point. They used to have this, then they lost it. As of this recording right now in vanilla, you don't get a faster working town center until the feudal age. Well, now that's back for the Dark Age. Parthian Tactics is available in the Castle Age. This is normally an Imperial Age technology for your cav archers. It gives them additional melee and pierce armor, as well as bonus attack versus pikemen. So it gives you a lot of durability and resiliency to your cav archers that's normally locked to the Imperial Age, but you can now get this in the Castle Age, meaning Castle Age Persian cav archer play could be really, really strong and give them a fortitude that you do not normally expect from this fast-moving hit-and-run unit. I expect to see a lot of cav archer play on the ladder once this thing goes live. In addition to that, cavalry, so that's all of your stables, your unique units, as well as your cav archers, generate 5 gold whenever they kill a military unit. So you get into a battle, 10 cav archers versus 10 knights or whatever. You kill 10 enemy units with your cavalry. That's 50 gold bonus in the bank. And what that means in particular is you're going to have gold longer than most civilizations. Imagine you're in a late game trash war situation. Your light cav go in and destroy a horde of skirmishers. That's a bunch extra gold that goes into your bank, which means you can afford more siege units or whatever else you want to spend that gold on. All right, so a really nice little bonus to your eco through fighting, which is a really fun, aggressive kind of bonus that I like. Finally, we did call it in the last video. The Persians are now getting caravanserai. I said bazaar in that video, but I knew that wasn't right. The caravanserai is available for the Persians. Their unique unit remains the war elephant. I got so many comments from people saying, oh, don't get rid of the war elephant. We love the war elephant. Well, good news. The war elephant is still here. It is buffed. The war elephant moves much faster now. It used to move 0.6 tiles per second, and now it's 0.8 tiles per second. And not only that, but its bonus attack against buildings has gone up from 7, or 10 for the elite unit, up to 30 for both the war elephant and the elite war elephant. So this is exactly what I was hoping for this unique unit. It is now a mix of a battle elephant and a siege elephant put together. And personally, I think that this makes the war elephant a much more viable component to your army. I think it may still not be the best idea to go all in war elephant because they are so easily countered by monks, for example. But if you have the momentum with your knights or with your cav archers, You can then mix war elephants in as a powerful base-destroying unit, and you still have this very strong fighter unit as well. So if they get attacked by, whether it's spears or infantry or knights or whatever, they can fight them off. War elephants are a very powerful unit, and I think they're just way more viable now that they are so strong against buildings. Mix them into your army. I think it'll be worth it. But you'll notice this is now not the only unique unit they've got. They also have the Savar, which is a cavalry unit, and you will see that it is a replacement for the Paladin. What I've seen online is that the Savar, which looks amazing by the way, very cool, unique unit, just from an aesthetic point of view. And I don't want to minimize that, that looks awesome. But from a gameplay point of view, it has additional melee and pierce armor. One more melee, one more pierce armor than a Paladin, but less HP. Right? So, the Savar, I've heard that it's sort of similar to a Paladin stat-wise. It's sort of a wash when it comes to Savar versus Paladin. But the main difference is its upgrade is much cheaper. It's easier to go from the Cavalier into the Savar. And so there's that economic focus, the element, that makes it much easier to tech into Savar. Which will mean, of course, that they have a very strong stable line, as they always have. Gonna be a very cool unit. Unique text, Commander and Remains, Archer Line, gold cost replaced by additional wood, as well as a new bonus, Citadels. Castles fire bullets, +4 attack, with an additional bonus attack versus rams and infantry, and castles receive less bonus damage. So, your castles will stay standing and be able to withstand siege much better than other civilizations' castles will. So, that is a really, really cool bonus. Well done. And the old bonus, Mahoots, got wrapped up into the War Elephant and the Elite upgrades. So, again, just the War Elephant is made that much stronger. And, yeah, I just think this is going to be a much more powerful, unique unit. I don't think people are talking about the War Elephant enough. And you still have the old team bonus, Knights gain +2 attack versus Archers. So, Persians looking strong. Try them out. Expect to see a lot of Persians on the ladder when this goes live. Now, at this point, we've talked about all the most exciting things. The 2 new civilizations, the reworked Persians. But briefly, we've got to talk about the other civilizations and the changes that are coming into the game. First, let's talk about what's changing in the game generically across the civilizations. The big one, the most exciting one, is that Skirmishers and Genitours are getting an additional bonus damage attack against the Spearman line. So they used to do a bonus damage of 3 against spears. Now it's a bonus damage of 4. And that means that Skirmishers will be significantly more effective at wiping out Spearmen. So Skirmishers, keep that in mind. That's particularly important in late game trash wars. But even outside of that, you know, if you're playing Knights, you have even more reason to go with Skirmishers as an option for knocking out, you know, your opponent's expected spear tech switch, right? Good choice there. There's also a thing where monks have been changed to where if you try to convert a villager, it takes them a second before the villager actually is scared off of whatever they were working on. And as well, you're no longer able to charge up a conversion by converting a building and then switching to a unit at the last second. That was seen a lot in pro play. I don't know how often it really comes up in the average ladder experience, but it's something good to know. Now, let's go to the Celts. My buddy Jimmy James 59 was talking like the day before this update was released, or before the patch notes came out. He was complaining about the Celt Skirmisher and saying these guys are not good enough. They need a bonus, and they've been given a bonus, although it's not found here. The Celts have been given ring archer armor. So that means they will be far more resilient and be able to do their job much more effectively of fighting off archers. The Celts are obviously an infantry civilization. You want to go infantry. Archers are the natural counter. So now you do a better job countering the counter to your main play as the Celts. So that's a really nice bonus for them. Next, we've got to look at the Japanese. The Japanese have a new bonus, Cavalry Archers. Are you noticing a theme here? Are you noticing how Cavalry Archers are getting really nice bonuses especially across many of these civilizations, getting nice little bonuses. Well, the Japanese have a really cool one. Cav archers gain an additional +2 attack against archers. That's really cool. Now, in my experience, archers typically win fights against cavalry archer. I don't think it's because archers counter cav archers. It's just that you are able to mass up archers more readily, more effectively. And so, in my experience, I often am able to thin out cav archers with a good archer horde. But now, with Japanese cav archers, right out of the gate, they can do a bunch of bonus damage against archers. And I think that will probably flip the script on who wins those battles. So, that's a really nice bonus opportunity for the Japanese to go into. You get Thumbering and Parthian tactics. You get a full blacksmith experience. Cav archers are more viable than ever, especially for the Japanese. But I think a lot of civs are sleeping on the cav archer potential. Next up, we got the Magyar. This is a really interesting change. Their unique unit, the Magyar Hussar. First off, it's gained some extra stats. Its HP has gone up from 70 to 75 HP, and its training time has gone down from 16 to 14 seconds. So Magyar Hussar, they are healthier, they are trained faster, you can mass them up faster. And here's a really interesting switch. Their cost. They used to cost 80 food and 10 gold. Now they cost 35 food and 45 gold. Now that's interesting because in the early game, food is more valuable than gold. Gold gathers very quickly, food gathers more slowly, and you need the food for the technologies and for building your economy. So there's a premium on food, and this cost switch means it will be easier early on to use Magyar Hussar in the early game. Right? You have to spend more gold, but you're spending a lot less food. And then, when you're ready to make the tech switch, you go into that late game scenario where all of a sudden gold is the more valuable resource and you have thousands of food to spend and you don't really care about food that much, then you can pick up Corvinian army. And it's changed now to where Magyar Hussar gold cost is replaced by an additional food cost. Now, I'm not sure how high that food cost goes. I'm going to guess that it's probably around where it was, which would be 80 food. It might be less than that, I'm not sure. But regardless, you lose the gold cost, the food cost jumps back up to a high food cost, but no gold cost, and you can make that switch as soon as you realize in your game, I need to be saving my gold for other things, right? So it gives you kind of a lever on your economy that I think is pretty cool, and it makes the Magyar Hussar, I think, even more viable for the Magyar player. It's pretty neat. Let's go over to the Poles next. We'll talk about this one really quickly. They lose guilds. This is a nerf. Let's find guilds. Here we go. Reduces the commodity trading fee to 15%. I guess that's probably a big deal in team games or something like that. It's... Well, no, this would be affecting your trade on the market. So, okay, a little bit of a nerf there. Not the biggest thing in the world in my experience, but good to know. Romans. Their unique unit, the Centurion, is getting a nerf. I don't know if this will even show up in the tech tree. It doesn't show up. But the Centurion used to increase the attack speed of the infantry line by 25%, and the Elite Centurion upgraded that attack speed by 33%. Now, the Centurion across the board, Centurion or Elite, only upgrades the attack speed of nearby infantry by 20%. So it's still a great bonus, but not as strong as it is on the current live servers. Two more that we've got to talk about. The Saracens. And the Saracens, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the sleeper change. The Saracens have received some really exciting buffs that a lot of people are going to ignore because of all the excitement around 2 new civs and the Persians and all that. The Saracens got some really cool bonuses. First, Saracen camels now gain 25% more HP instead of a flat plus 10 HP. Now, if you were to look at the live servers, you get the plus 10 HP and you pick up Zealotry, which gives your camels even more HP. It's pretty much evened out. If I remember correctly, the camel rider gets a little bit less HP after the update than before. The Mameluke gets a little bit more HP than it did before. It's not a big difference overall, but The difference is, with the Saracens, now you're getting all of that HP at once. You're no longer having to research Zealotry. And in fact, Zealotry is no longer a Saracen unique tech. So all of that is front-loaded into the civilization right out of the gate. You don't need to pick up elite upgrades and, Zealotry techs and all that in order to get that HP immediately. So I think you're getting the HP bonus faster, and in some cases, even a little bit more HP than they used to. So camel play is going to be very strong with the Saracens, even more than it is currently. In addition to that, one of the reasons why Mamelukes themselves, the unique unit, they got a bunch of HP. They went up from 65 to 80 HP, and from 75 to 90 for the elite Mameluke. In addition to that, they get a new unique tech in the Castle Age. Monks automatically, in a radius around them, they just passively heal multiple nearby units in a radius around the monk, in addition to their targeted heal. Which means that monks will absolutely be incredible at keeping your army healed up, topped off. This is a really fun bonus for the Saracens, and I think a very flavorful historical bonus with the Saracens, not only because of the religious element, and of course you want monks or imams or whatever in your army, but also because the Saracen civilizations were known for their houses of healing. And, they were some of the most advanced civilizations on the planet at the time when it came to medieval healthcare, right? So it's a really fun wink and a nod to history, and a really fun bonus for this civilization. I think you will definitely want to mix in monks in your Saracen play even more than you used to. I believe that's the only bonus for the Saracens. And finally, last but not least, an exciting bonus for Slav players. Farmers now work 15% faster. On live servers, that's 10% faster. I believe it used to be 15, got nerfed down to 10. It is back up to 15%. So your Slav farmers are going to be very, very strong. And that's it for the public update preview. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this overview of the two new civilizations, the Persians, and everything else coming up with the PUP. I am looking forward to trying out these civs. You can check out my channel to see some Armenian gameplay, Georgian gameplay, Persians, all of it. I'm really looking forward to trying these civs out and showing them off on the channel. If you want to see that, please consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate each of you that do that. Consider also liking this video and leaving a comment letting me know which change are you most excited to see, and which one do you wish that they had brought into the game. Thanks guys so much for watching this. I really appreciate it. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser signing off. Have a great one out there.